If I Run the Circus by Dr. Seuss. In all the whole town, the most wonderful spot, in behind the store in the big vacant lot. It's just the right spot for my wonderful plans, say young Morris McGurk. I'll clean up the cans. Now a fellow like me, said young Morris McGurk, could get rid of this junk with half hour's work. I could yank up those weeds and chop down the dead tree and haul off all those old cars. There are just 2 or 3, and then the whole place would be ready, you see. All ready to put up the tents for my circus. I think I will call it Circus McGurkus. The Circus McGurkus, the world's greatest show on the face of the earth or wherever you go. The Circus McGurkus, the cream of the cream. The Circus McGurkus, the circus supreme. The Circus McGurkus, colossal, stupendous, astounding, fantastic, terrific, tremendous. I'll bring in my acrobats, jugglers and clowns from 1,033 faraway towns to the place that you'll see 'em in, ladies and gents, right behind Sneelock's store in the great McGurk tents. And I don't suppose old Mr. Sneelock will mind when he does suddenly has a big circus behind. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends. He might even help out doing small odds and ends. Doing little jobs, he could be some aid, such as selling balloons and the pink lemonade. I think 500 gallons will be about right, and then I'll be ready for opening night. What an opening night, what a night, what a sight! I'll hoist up the curtains, the crowds will crowd in, and my Circus McGurkus will promptly begin, with a welcoming toot on my welcoming horn, by my horn-tooting apes from the jungles of John, where the very best horn-tooting apes are all born, 'cause the very fresh air there is fine for their lungs, and some of those fellows have 2 or 3 tongues. This way, step right in, this way, ladies and gents. My sideshow starts here in the first of my tents. When you see what goes on, you'll say no other circus is. Half the great circus, the Circus McGurkus is. Here on stage, one from the ocean of Ulf, is a sight most amazing, a walrus named Rolf, who can stand on one whisker, this wonderful Rolf, on top of 5 balls. 2 for tennis, 3 for golf. It's a marvellous trick, I say so myself. And on stage number 2, here is something quite new, from a country called Frum, 'cause this drum-tummied snum, who can drum any tune that you might care to hum. Doesn't hurt a bit, 'cause his drummy's tum numb. And you'll now meet the Foon, the remarkable Foon, who eats sizzling hot peppers and fall off the moon. And the reason he likes them red hot, it appears, is he greatly enjoys blowing smoke from his ears. Of course, pebbles like this are quite hard to collect, but Sneelock will manage somehow, I expect. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends, and I'm sure he'll help out doing small odds and ends. And on stage number 4, see the Willy Walloo, who can throw his long tail in a sort of lasso. With a flip of the hip with a tail of this kind, he can capture whoever is standing behind. He can capture old Sneelock. I'm sure he won't mind. And now, here is Hoodwink, with winks in his wink hood. Without a good wink hood, a hoodwink can't wink good. And folks, let me tell you, there's only one circus with wink-hooded hoodwinks, the Circus McGurkus. The show of all shows, there's no other showman. He shows you away with a blindfolded bowman. The blindfolded bowman from Brigger Barroot, the world's sharpest sharpshooter, look at him shoot. Through the holes in 4 doughnuts, 2 hairs on a worm, and the knees of 3 birds without making them squirm. And then on through a crab-apple upon the head of Sneelock, who likes to help out, as I've said. And now come to this spot where the spotlight is hot, and you'll see the spotlight, a juggling jot, who can juggle some stuff you might think he could not, such as 22 question marks, which is a lot. also 44 commas, and also 1 dot. That's the kind of circus McGurkus I've got. But that's just my sideshow, a start, a beginning. This way to a big tent you'll find our head spinnings. Why, ladies and gentlemen, youngsters and olders, your head will quite likely spin right off your shoulders. So hurry up, step lively, quick, ladies and gents, and get into your seats for the tent of old tents. My parade of paraders is about to commence. You'll see Drum Major Sneelock fling-flang his baton, and my organ McGurkus come on. With its hot steaming pipes of gold brass-plated tin, snorting all sorts of snorts in a bumbling din. That is super stupendous, stupendous, stu-rorous, and when I play Dixie, please join in the chorus. And a fluff muffled truffle will ride on a huffle, and next in line a fine flummox will shuffle. The flummox will carry a lurch in a pail, and a fibble will carry the flummox's tail, while on top of the flummox 3 harp-twanging snarp will twangy Mike twangs on their 3-snapper harp, with a bolster blows bloops on 3-nozzle blueser, a nolster blow floops on a 1-nozzle noozer. And then comes a lion, who's partly a trout. Then more stuff for 45 minutes about. And then, behind them, while everyone stares, come on my toe and fro marchers, who march in fine layers. The fro marchers on toss don't know how they do it. But that's how it goes, when they like to do it. And now comes on an act of enormous enormance. No former's performance performed this performance. The stunt is too grippingly, slippingly frightening. Down from the top of my tent like greased lightning, through lots of big stickle bush trees, slides a man, what a man, on his roller skis, and he'll steer without fear, and you'll know at a glance that it's Sneelock, the man who takes chance after chance, and he won't even rip a small hole in his pants. And now, here in this cage is a beast most ferocious, who's known far and wide as a spotter atrocious, who growls, howls and yowls. The most blood-curdling sounds in each tooth in his mouth weighs at least 60 pounds, and he chews up and eats with the greatest of ease things like carpets and sidewalks and people and trees. But the great Colonel Sneelock is just the right kind of a man who can tame him. I'm sure he won't mind. Then I'll let Sneelock off a few minutes rest, while high over your heads you will see the best of the world's finest fanciers breezy trapezing, my Zoomazoop troops from West Upper Bendizing, who never quite know while they zoop and they zoom, which will catch that one and who will catch whom, or if you will just catch which by what and just where, or just when and just how in which part of the air. What a circus, my circus McGurkus. My workers love work, they say. Workers, please workers. We'll work and we'll work, so up many surprises. You'd never see half if you had 40 eyes. Eyesers. And now again, Sneelock, brave Sneelock is back, risking life on my pattern, life-risking track, while the speedsters I call, my colliding collusions, race round in swift cars called abrasion contunsions. And Sneelock just lies there, not one bit excited. I know he won't mind, he'll be simply delighted. And here, in my contest of brute strength and muscle, Kid Sneelock, my champ of all champs, will now tussle and wrestle a beast called the Grizzly Ghastly, and slap him around, then he'll slam him down fastly and pin both his shoulders down. And flat to the mat, Kid Sneelock will love it, I'm sure about that. And while that goes on, 3, look at this, go on here. Have you heard of my herd of 3 horns jumping deer? Every deer jumps through horns of another pell-mell, with his horns are jumped through at the same time as well, by a deer whose horns also are being jumped through, by another man who's having his horns jumped through too, which I'm sure Trainer Sneelock can train them to do. Then the whole tent will ring with hoorays and wild shouts. Then I wheel in my whales and they turn on their spouts. First my whale number 1 with an aim that's aimed true, spouts a spout with Spout Sneelock to whale number 2. And then whale number 2 spouts his spout like a gun, and that spout spouts old Sneelock right back to whale 1. And then forward and backwards on spout after spout, my great spout rider Sneelock gets spouted about, just as long as the water they're spouting holds out. Then my tournament knights, noble H without fears, Sir Hector, Sir Vector, Sir Bops and Sir Beers, Sir Hawkins, Sir Dawkins, Sir Jocks and Sir Jeers, clatter into the tent, and while everyone cheers, stage a roustabout joust with their boxing glove spears. And while all this wild ruckusing goes on below, at the top of the tent, look, the star of my show, great daredevil Sneelock, the world's bravest type. He comes pulled through the air by 3 Sorbian snipe on a dingus contraption attached to his pipe. And while people below, they are all turning to chalk white and all biting their fingernails off in the fright, great Sneelock soars up to a terrible height. Then he shakes himself loose, he starts down in a dive, such as no man on earth could come out of alive. But he smiles as he falls, and no fear does he feel. His nerves are like iron, his muscles like steel, and he plunges down with his hair still combed neat, 4,692 feet. Then he'll land in a fishbowl. He'll manage just fine. Don't ask how he'll manage. That's his job, not mine. Why, he'll be a hero, of course he won't mind, when he finds out that he has a big circus behind.